Hello and welcome to the first ever Deer Park Parent Support Programme, PSP. My name's Tom Hastings. I'm one of the assistant head teachers, and I'll talk to you today very briefly about well-being and the well-being of our students in particular. Now, well-being, as I'm sure you appreciate, and mental health is all something that is hugely important to everyone at the moment, none more so than our students here at Deer Park. When we talk about what well-being is, we always talk about the fact that it's at the heart of everything that we do. We recognize fully that in order for our students to be successful learners, we need to make sure that we are nurturing them and looking after their well-being so they feel happy and healthy and safe in order to do so, to go on and succeed within the classroom. We know that well-being and mental health is a huge thing on the national agenda at the moment, and obviously due to things like COVID, students never before really have been up against so many challenges with regards to their well-being. So it's really important that we as a school are doing everything we can in conjunction with yourself as parents to ensure that those students are feeling happy, do feel safe, and that if and when they do need some additional support with their well-being and their mental health, that they know how to access that as well. We talk here at Deer Park about proactive pastoral care. We recognise that students, when things aren't going right or when they're not feeling great, we react. But ultimately, our job at the moment, with regards to kind of opening a brand new school, is about creating that culture within the school where students do feel happy and safe and they enjoy coming into school, because ultimately that's going to be the main thing that's going to be there to support them, their mental well-being. If we use the analogy of well-being being a little bit like a beautiful garden, you see the picture there. In order for the trees and the plants to flourish, a little bit like our students, if they were the trees and the plants, and we want them to flourish, we need to recognise and we need to look after everything that's happening at the base level. So the soil, so the fertiliser, and that's very much what we mean when we talk about the culture. And everyone here in the school, have been tasked with ensuring that that culture of students feeling happy and safe is very much at the top of their agenda as well. And I'd like to say so far it's been very, very successful. But we do recognise that there's going to be a number of factors externally and internally as well that are going to affect students' well-being and their mental health. And it's really important that we're there to support them, as I say, in conjunction with yourselves as well, because this next 5 years, they're always going to be a tricky 5 years, and very few students will go through those next 5 years without needing a little bit of additional pastoral support with regards to their well-being or indeed their mental health. So when we talk about the importance of well-being, certainly from the school's point of view, we talk about well-being very much being part of this kind of this triangle along with the behaviour and the regulation. What we see here as professionals, and we stand in front of wonderful, brilliant students, all very unique in themselves, all very different in themselves. But we recognise that the teenage years in secondary school are very, very tricky. You throw in things like hormones, friendships, all the external factors that students have to deal with in society, social media. It does have an effect, and it can pose quite a few challenges to students, when ultimately what we're also trying to do is trying to educate and get them to where they need to be with regards to their grades. So we talk about well-being, behaviour, and indeed the regulation of emotion, all working hand in hand. And it's important that we address not just the behaviour here in school. It's not just important, it's not important that we regulate. We talk about the well-being as well, but also regulation. All three go hand in hand as well. So the teenage brain is, as I'm sure you're already aware, is quite a complicated thing. Now, a bit of a disclaimer here: I'm not an expert in this respect. I have some understanding. Our wonderful Senko, Mrs. McDonald, if you've ever spoken to her, she's got this brilliant understanding of the neuroscience and the teenage brain. But hopefully, I'll be able to kind of explain a little bit of what we see here in school, and potentially what you see at home as well. And I'm sure you appreciate that the teenage brain, as I said, is quite a complex thing. And if we sort of break it down into these three kind of areas, the neocortex, which we'll come back to in a second, which is this top part, and we call that like the upstairs of the brain as well. You've got the limbic brain and the reptilian brain down here as well. And you can see there from that graphic that different parts of the brain are responsible for different parts of a student's kind of psyche and a student's how a student presents. And you've got obviously the neocortex that looks after the rational and the thinking brain. And you've also got this bit down here where what's called the amygdala is, which is responsible for the emotional side of things. And so if you've ever sort of, if your child has ever been quite emotional about different things in different ways, whether it be anger, frustration, sadness, that's very much taken care of this kind of bit down here. And we talk about this bit being the the downstairs. And if we use the analogy of the upstairs and the downstairs being a little bit like a house, at the moment the teenage brain is, they're very much sitting downstairs in the kitchen, if you will, because the upstairs is still under construction. And it will be under construction for some time. It's not until they get into their early 20s where that kind of top part of the brain, the upstairs, if you will, really starts to settle down, which is why you get more kind of rational behavior from someone in their early 20s than what you do in their teenage years. And that's why we see a lot more emotion. And we see students in particular going up and down and fluctuating in their emotions, much more so than in their 20s. And then you throw things like hormones into the mix as well. And it can make for quite a tricky time, obviously for yourself as parents, for us as teenagers, but none more so than obviously the wonderful students as well. And as I said, I don't claim to know everything about this, but that's kind of where we are at the moment. Our understanding that a student's brain is very much still under construction, but the bit that is they're very much using at the moment is that emotional part, that downstairs part of the brain, which is why we see a lot of the behaviors we do. So it's our job as parents and teachers basically to navigate students through what we call the river of well-being, that happy student, that happy child that feels content, they feel safe, they feel healthy. But we recognize that actually it doesn't take much for them to drift into chaos or a chaotic kind of way of existence, or the other way, which is this very kind of rigid way, this very safe way, not robotic as such, but that where they're not showing that much emotion as well. And we want them kind of in the middle, which is this, as we say, if we talk about it, the analogy of the river of well-being, that's very much where we want them. We want them in the middle. But we recognize that like all rivers, with currents and things like that, there's going to be a number of things that will sway them towards either side. And it's really important that we react in a supportive way when students are finding things a little bit difficult. Now, the science behind the teenage brain is something, as I've said, is very, very complex. It is something that will cause challenges to all teenagers. They are tasked with a very difficult time of their life. We're trying to obviously educate them and get them to succeed academically as well, but they are still developing as well emotionally. But then we throw in the mix as well, sort of the external factors as well. And, you only have to open a newspaper or log onto the internet to recognize that mental health is something that is a big thing at the moment. There's a number of factors that cause this, in particular in teenagers, because obviously they do have these challenges of, the neuroscience and their brains still developing. But you throw in the mix things like COVID and lockdown, social media, as I'm sure you can appreciate, is also a big contributing factor. And actually mental health is something that is a huge challenge. And this is where, from our point of view as a school, it's really important that you as parents recognise that we are challenged now, tasked with being asked to do more and more to support our students and their mental health and their well-being as well. certainly more so than in the past. And there's a few statistics there as well, which was from a report in 2021, which was carried out by the Office of National Statistics. And you can see there that 1/6 of children in 2021 had a probable mental disorder at some stage, whereas in 2017 it was only one. Well, I say only one, but 1 in 9. So obviously that had got worse. 39% of 6 to 16-year-olds are reporting actually there had been a deterioration in their mental health, although 22% did say that they saw an improvement. And then obviously there's a statistic there as well that 34% of people that are referred to NHS support for their mental health don't actually get taken taken further for treatment. And that's because obviously with funding and cuts and higher demand, it's making for a significant amount of more pressure on a lot of these kind of outside agencies and support network as well, which I'll talk to you about in just a second. So mental health is a huge thing at the moment. It is a challenge for us as schools, no doubt. It's a challenge for you as parents, and so it's really important. I suppose for me to kind of explain to you what we do here at Deer Park to ensure that not only are we creating that sort of that proactive, safe, healthy culture centered around well-being and mental health, but also if and when we need to, that we can react in the right way. And one of the best ways that we do is one of the best things that we do is we work really, really closely with some fantastic external agencies, and I've listed them there. I won't go through them all, but I will. The school nursing team is an organisation that we work very closely with. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of CAMS, which is a child and adolescent mental health service, and various other sort of local agencies, including children's services as well. But the reality is, as I'm sure you know, that these agencies are incredibly stretched, and CAMS in particular. And back in 2018, the then Prime Minister Theresa May had released a green paper centred around children's mental health, where she was where they'd earmarked £350 million to overhaul support services. What we've had since then is obviously COVID, and we've seen a rise, as you can see from the previous statistics, in the demand for mental health services for children as well. Now, obviously, there's a lot going on at the moment with regards to that. From what I've read, there is from the Department of Health and Social Care, approximately £2.3 billion has been earmarked for by 2024 to help expand these services around, for the NHS and mental health as well. So what that looks like at the moment, we don't know. We know that there is a big desire to introduce more and more local mental health service teams as well. Again, as part of Theresa May's sort of plan, by 2022, I believe it was, 25% of local authorities would have a local mental health support team. That's actually supposedly being upped to 35% of areas by 2023 as well. So there is, there is a plan in place. What that looks like and how that will come into fruition, we just don't know. The reality is, we as a school, we are required to do more. And these are some of the things that we've done since opening with regards to supporting student mental health as well. So we have created a wellbeing menu, which I will show you in just a second. We are working hard on our website as well, which has got a lot of resources on there as well. We have two members of our team, Mrs. McDonald and Mr. Smith, who will benefit or are benefiting from government funding, DfE funding, to be mental health senior mental health lead trained as well. You will have seen, hopefully, the Deer Park Well News monthly newsletter that will come out. And we've done a lot in assemblies and our This Is Us tutor time sessions as well. The creative education CPD that you can see up here is a package that we as a staff have bought into, which is a CPD package, a lot of which is centered around not just teaching and learning, but also around supporting children's wellbeing and mental health as well. We are doing a lot, obviously, with the students as well. We've put an awful lot of literature out. We've signposted an awful lot, and we are moving forward going to be creating monthly talks from outside agencies, but also from staff here as well, talking about various different challenges that students might face, things like self-harm and anxiety as well, and strategies that they can that we can that we can offer to support them. So there is an awful lot that is going on as well. A few little kind of examples there. This is our Wilden Wellbeing Menu, which you will find on our website. And this is the sort of thing that we can offer students if and when they come and speak to us about some of the troubles they have. And you might not be able to see that particularly well, but there's lots of signposting there as well. Hopefully you all saw the first ever Deer Park Well News newsletter, very much focused on this time round, Mental Health Month, February being Mental Health Month, but also the news resolutions that we often all get involved with in January as well. Some wonderful apps and self-help apps that we would recommend here in the school. Again, all of these will be found on our website when that is all finished as well. A lot of these the students can just download and have on their phone, and a lot of them around sort of self-help, signposting, but also things like helping you to kind of calm your mind down, meditation, things like that, but also things like Chat Health, NHS, CAMS to help you should you need any additional support there and then. I will give a little nod to the CAMS website, because I have to say it is absolutely fantastic for you as parents, but also for us as professionals, and obviously the young people as well. If you just type in Hampshire CAMS, there's so many fantastic resources on there as well, and obviously you can make a referral there should you need to. I would highly recommend you take a little look at that, and again, that can be found on our website. The website, as we say, is just it's still being finalised, but there's still an awful lot of stuff on there at the moment. It's just the Wellbeing tab at the top of deerparksecondary.org. Lots of useful apps, wellbeing resources, the Wellbeing Menu as well, that you can see there should you wish to go and have a little look or direct your child there. And then finally, should you ever have any concerns, obviously you can come to us directly. This top email address is what we've encouraged students to use if they've got a concern about themselves or indeed anybody else. The email address wecare@deerparksecondary.org, and that will go through to anyone. It will go through to myself as the assistant head teacher, Mr Smith as the head of year, and Mrs McDonald, who's our SENCO and senior mental health lead as well. And obviously any safeguarding concerns can come through to the safeguarding email address as well, which you can see there. As always, we look forward to continuing to work with you all as parents. I have to say, your children have been absolutely fantastic since starting here in Deer Park. They have been instrumental in creating such a wonderful atmosphere here at the school, and we really look forward to that continuing as well. If you need to get in contact, please do so, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you ever so much. Take care.